Hey, it's me, Sine Mountain. I'm going to give you a real quick tutorial on how to use your OXI One with your Micro Bitbox. And I'm going to show you two different ways that you can set it up, or two different ways that I recommend you can set it up. All right, so let's start with the easiest one. The easiest way of setting this up is just using the gate outs. I'm using a pipe in this situation, but you can also use the outs on the backside of the OXI One itself. Just so you understand what I'm working with right off the bat, I'm using OXI One in its latest firmware 4.4 something. In Micro is in its latest firmware 3.2 something. In this setup, I'm also just in sequencer 4, and this is the multi-track mode. And there are some great tutorials about multi-track mode if you want to learn more about all the different ins and outs of setting up and playing with that particular sequencer mode. I'm not going to get into that, but I will leave a link to the playlist for those on OXI Instruments YouTube. Okay, so real basic way of setting it up. If you just want to get going and you don't want to mess with anything else, or you don't want to mess with MIDI, this is this is a really easy way to get going. Basically, in your Bitbox, it's going to default to gate inputs, and each cell is going to, is already labeled here on your inputs there. And so all you have to do is go output 1 into input 1, and so forth. On this side of setting up the OXI One, what you're going to have to do is go over to hold down Shift and CV gate, and now this is your CV gate matrix. I already have selected sequencer 4. This is the row for sequencer 4, and it already defaults on the on the trigger out. And I've already gone through and made sure that each trigger is assigned to the right track. So 1 through 8 coming out of here, and so on the pipe 1 through 8 are going to come out of there. It's really pretty simple. If you wanted to mix that up or change that up or learn more about what else is going on these other squares, again, I would check the latest videos that are coming out of OXI Instruments. There's actually one about CV gates in this whole area that you should definitely check out if you want to learn more about that. But let's say you're just plugging in, you want to know, that's all you have to do. Set this part up and then go back to your sequencer, and you checked your inputs. You've already loaded up your samples, and away we go. Okay, so that's the most simplest way of doing it. Now let's move on to the way I prefer doing it, and the way you may want to use it to get the most out of the OXI One and the Bitbox. See you in a bit. Okay, we're back. Now this is setting up the OXI One with the Micro Bitbox using MIDI. So in this scenario, I already have the drums lined up, and I already have a beat here, but it is not going to work right out the gate if you've already tried this and you're trying to figure out what to do next. So there's a couple of steps you need to take. One, you're going to want to make sure that by default you're on the third C3 in chromatic. This is going to help you later on when you want to change the pitches of the samples if you need to. And this is also going to help you play these samples at the correct speed. Anything higher or lower is going to change the pitch. So the next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to set each row or track to to its own MIDI channel. So this is kind of a cool thing about multi-track mode, is that you can assign each track to its own MIDI channel and its own CV gate. So there's a lot of cool flexibility that you have in this. So the way I set it up is I'm going to set up the input. I'm going to tell I'm going to tell the Bitbox Micro that cell 1 is receiving channel 1, cell 2 is receiving channel 2, and so forth. And then on this side, I'm just going to line it up that way. So let me go over that really quickly, how that's done. So you hold down the sequencer to get, this is to get into track menu. And now you're in track menu, and you're going to see on the left here, the MIDI channel and the offset. So the first one's easy enough because it's 1 and the offset's to C3. But the next one, you just have to tap the next one quickly and you will see it's still, I might have already changed this, so I apologize. If you tap this, you might, I have an idea. Let's go ahead and show you how it's really done. Okay. So we'll go sequencer 1. And if I tap this up, you'll see, okay. Do you see how each channel is defaulting to 1 and each row has a offset going up the scale? So we're gonna have to go in there and quickly change that. So 1 is C3, and then 2, we're gonna change that to 2A, push down, go over here, go back down to C3, and you're going to do that for each one. Cool. I'm going to probably skip ahead real quick and do a real quick edit, and then you'll see that's all set up. Okay, we're back. I have added a different MIDI channel 1 through 8 to each one of these tracks. So MIDI 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There you go. And they're all on offset C3, and I'm pretty much set up. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to save what I've done just in case. And if you want to, at this point, you can go and save this as a template, or you can create another pattern just with that, so you have that already set up. That might make it easier, so you don't have to do that process every single time. So that's just a little tip. Okay, so now that that's set up, you need to go into you're going to need to go into the Bitbox and tell it to receive those channels. So this is pretty simple, but let me show you just in case. So go to your cell. Let's start with cell 1. I might have already have this set up, so that's fine, but tap it twice, and then we're going to go into this menu, into configure. We're going to scroll down, and where it says MIDI in, you're going to change that to channel 1. I don't think it's going to make a big difference, but just to be safe, make sure that your other MIDI stuff is turned off or on default. If you go back to if you go to the main menu, I actually have the MIDI pad information turned off. So this is the main menu we're looking at, from that you get to the tools menu. But I've gone through and I've clicked into that menu, into that configuration menu of that pad, and I've changed the MIDI in to correspond to the pad number. So pad number 2 is getting channel number 2. Okay, so that's basically the idea of the setup there. And again, you're going to want to hit save on that, and so that you don't have to keep doing that every time. But then it becomes super easy to start playing. Once you have that set up, then you're good to go, and you can start making beats, making tunes. There you go. And that's the basics there. Now, of course, I mentioned this earlier, but now that that's set up, you can go into these steps and you can change the velocity, you can change the pitch, you can do all kinds of fun stuff there. So, you know, just kind of take advantage of being able to use the MIDI there. And yeah, so let's have some fun and just keep making beats. All right, we'll see you in the next video. Take care.